Right, welcome back to Prophotoinsights. I'm going to show you today some the setup of the camera for shooting panoramic successfully. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to show you is this little plastic gizmo. I'll just do a bit of a close-up in camera. Now this is obviously just a spirit level and it just slides in the top of your hot shoe on your camera, and I shall now demonstrate like so. And this is handy. It's only a few pounds, $6, whatever you want to call it, and it just slides in the top. Then it helps you just make sure that your horizons are level. Whether you're doing panoramics or not, I find this is a real help, especially if you're doing any kind of interior photography with wide angle lenses. It can drive me crazy sometimes wondering if everything's level. So this will save you a bit of frustration, and it's great for the panoramics. You don't have to shoot panoramics with a spirit level. You can actually have to shoot panoramics with a tripod. You can hand hold them. The stitching software these days is very good, but it's going to help you, I think, to use a tripod and get your composition right. The first thing I'm going to tell you is that you've probably got this wonderful brand new digital SLR camera with auto everything. For this sort of thing, you want to switch all the auto functions off. For starters, most important, turn your autofocus on the lens. It's got to be switched to manual focus, and also exposure. I would recommend the aperture must not change for any of the shots. So if you shoot an f/16, you keep it on f/16 for both the images. You can change the shutter speed. That's not a problem. So if you've got one scene here, and then you obviously move across and you've got another scene but with the sun in shot, you're going to have to increase the exposure, otherwise you're going to get it's going to be silhouetted too dark. But you can do that. You can use the shutter speed. So I'd recommend using it on manual. Color balance, I'd leave it on daylight. That's the best thing, and that is pretty much it. The other thing I need to just tell you is once you've got your composition worked out, I'm shooting this one in a panoramic format, and by that means you can, let me just put my microphone down a bit, you can shoot with the camera vertical and pan around like so, and some people do that. I actually never done it like that, to be honest with you, not for this type of thing. I've done it for HDR domes when I'm doing my CGI car stuff, and that's a completely different kettle of fish. But for panoramics, I tend to shoot them this way, but you can shoot them in a vertical mode if you want to. So first thing first is get your camera level as possible for the first exposure, and you basically sort out obviously your exposure and everything. Shoot your picture, and then what you want to do is then rotate the camera around, but not too far. You want to leave probably about 15 to 20% overlap, and that will help you when you're stitching the picture. That'll help the software get a good stitch. So always leave a gap. What I'll do in a minute, I'll actually pan the video around and show you what I mean if I can do it, but if not, we'll do it on the screencast. So you need to pan the camera around. Again, if the camera's not quite level, don't sweat it too much, but you know, if you can, just gently level it out again for your second frame. But it's, listen, if it's a bit off, don't worry. Focal length wise, you can go wide, but it makes things a bit more difficult. You get a bit more distortion towards the edge of the frame normally on wide angle lenses. So I'd recommend, again, I tend not to go much wider than 35. There's not much need to, because obviously you're doing panoramic, it's going to be quite wide anyway. So it will get a better result between perhaps 35 and 70. But you can try a wide angle, but I just don't tend not to stitch as well, I find. But apart from that, do what you want, you know, you just give it a try and have a play around. And what we'll do in a second, I'll take you through the overlap a little bit, just give you a better idea of what I mean, and then we'll go on from there in the post-production. We'll just perhaps do a quick stitch of one of the images. Welcome back. We're now back in from the cold. I've got in front of me several different panoramics that I've shot, and the one we're going to use to give you a demo on is this one I shot in Prague. I was there a while ago, basically for a couple of days. I was shooting some 360 HDR domes for the car photography, and so I was on the Charles Bridge at dawn doing these images, and I also shot some nice panoramics there, which is why I thought it's a bit more exotic than showing you a panoramic from some old field somewhere in the middle of nowhere. So here's the images on screen. These are the raw files. I've already processed them and output them as TIFFs, and I'm going to go very briefly. We've already gone through the stitching process in the previous video, but I just wanted to give you a bit of demonstration again on a couple of things. So I'm just going to pull up this image to show the overlap. I couldn't really do it through the video camera as good as I wanted. So here's our images at each frame. This is obviously the left hand frame, and this one's the right hand frame. And as you can see, I've left quite a bit of overlap there in the shot, and this is what I was on about. If you allow enough overlap, you're giving the stitching software as much to play with as possible. You know, if you only overlap a little bit on the edge, you've got less chance of a good stitch. So you always need to allow, like I said, about 15-20% overlay, just to make sure you've got enough for the software to have a play with. So I think that's a little bit more of a better demonstration I would have done through the video camera. So there we go. So always allow plenty of overlap in your images when doing this. So let's just get rid of that. So what I'm going to do now is just highlight these two images, these two TIFF files. You can use the DNG files if you want to. In fact, we could go ahead and just do that as a demo, and go up to your menu at the top here, go to Tools, Photoshop, and Photo Merge, and that loads the Photo Merge. As I mentioned before, I tend just to leave this on auto. You can have a play with the other options, but if it ain't broken, don't fix it. That's my motto. So leave it on auto and click OK, and that's now going to process those two DNG files into a panoramic, and we'll come back to that second when it's finished processing. Okay, so here's our pano on screen. I'll just zoom out a bit. Okay, it looks a bit like the dog's been chewing it, but we can soon sort that out. We can just go in and crop down the edges here, like so. And good one. There we go. It's done this a bit more, but you get the idea. I'll just go in and get down like that. Okay, so there we go. So let's go and have a quick close inspection. It amazes me. CS2 Photo Merge was okay. It didn't support 16-bit, which I prefer to work in. But CS3 was one of the main reasons for me upgrading to CS3 was the Photo Merge was quite a lot better, and it just amazes me. If you just click off these one of the layers there, you can see the join, and it's just amazing, just an amazing job. The only problems you might get now and again is where you've got movement. I mean, actually, you can see here in the shots, you've got these ghosted people walking across the Charles Bridge there, which you could go in and retouch out. Wouldn't be a lot of fun, I don't think. I think I had to retouch some on another shot, and it's a bit fiddly and time consuming. But the only problem you might get on some of these pictures, if you've got water in a shot, or say grass in the foreground. I did one a while ago from one of the exhibitions I did last year, and the shot had reeds in the foreground or grass. I think it was and reeds and grass. It was two different ones, and where the reeds have moved in between shots in the wind, it caused me a few problems. So I had to go in there and do a bit of retouching. But on the whole, 99% of the time on shots like this, it's just amazing, really. I don't know how it does it, but it does it, and it does it well, and it certainly beats hand stitching pictures, which is very time consuming and not a lot of fun, to be honest with you. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it's some interest. Don't forget, check out the forum, Prophotoinsights/forum. And also, as you mentioned in the last video, you can now download these videos in high res to keep, and that'll be available on the videos to purchase webpage on the site. Anyway, until next time, cheers and thanks for watching.